All right. Hello, hello, and welcome back to the channel. I've got a few things that I want to touch on today regarding the Wheel of Time, some news about it, some things that are happening behind the scenes, and some stuff like that. Some of this will be kind of uplifting, I think. And so, first thing that I want to touch on is that there is a fan campaign happening right now to bring the Wheel of Time to a new streaming platform and for someone else to pick it up and finish it off to its conclusion. And I believe as of right now, there's about 121,000 signatures, which this is a very good start. But realistically, it is not nearly enough. And so, if you are someone who is a fan of the show and you want to get involved in this, I would recommend following me here on YouTube and on social media. I'll be sharing links and stuff like that. Also, another really good place to find information is to follow Watt Series, and they are posting these really good prompts and ideas on how to get involved and get engaged and how to help out. And so, with that, I do want to touch on this news article from Medium, and this one's kind of interesting. It's stating a lot of things about why they believe the show was canceled. And also, it's kind of picking up some other information about this fan campaign. But for me, the title of this article is what got me. I'm scrolling along looking at some of these articles recently, and this one, it just comes in so hot, and you gotta love that. Its title is Apple TV Would Be Stupid Not to Pick Up the Wheel of Time. And this article is by Joran Flanagan from May 31st, so just a few days ago. But I'm going to summarize this also. So I'm not reading directly, but I'm condensing it. And Amazon canceled The Wheel of Time after season 3, blaming economic conditions. But Flanagan argues the real reason may have been politically motivated, not money. Flanagan goes on to say that Amazon poured billions into Rings of Power while Wheel of Time had a much smaller budget, but still matched or beat Rings of Power in viewership and reviews. So the money excuse doesn't add up, especially when Rings cost about 4 to 5 times more per episode. The article also points out a shift in Amazon's political tone after the 2024 election, where Bezos became closer to Donald Trump and Amazon made moves that align more with Trump's anti-LGBTQ plus and anti-DEI stance. Around the same time, the executive who greenlit the Wheel of Time stepped down and was not replaced. Which this is interesting. I did not know about that happening, but to continue, The Wheel of Time was called too woke by critics for showing queer relationships, and the author suggests that Amazon could be backing away from shows like this to stay in line with a new political climate and to protect some business interests. Also, if you're listening right now, please don't come at me. I'm just reading this. These aren't my opinions, so be chill. The article does go on to say there is hope because they think that Apple TV could swoop in and save the series. The cast and crew are in place, and all the hard work of adapting the books has roughly been done. Just needs another streaming platform to swoop in and pick it up and keep things going. And they also shared the fan campaign, which at this time had 80,000 signatures, which was as of May 31st. So you can see like it's climbing pretty quickly. It's a very unique relationship between articles like this and the fan campaign because they both keep each other going. So as the media coverage continues, then the conversation continues, and people are still going to be talking about the Wheel of Time. And if people are still talking about it, it shows that there's an ongoing interest and there's ongoing engagement. And for another streaming service to pick it up, they want to see that engagement and they want to see good engagement too. But the other really good thing about this is that it adds pressure. So, articles like this can push other news outlets to cover the story because if you look at it from an advertising aspect, you write a story and if it gets a lot of clicks and a lot of eyes on the story, then they're going to be motivated to continue talking about it. And if they're continuing to talk about it, then it's getting more publicity and you're going to see more people signing the fan campaign. And as more people are signing the fan campaign, more news articles are going to pick it up because it's showing there's an interest. So I do want to say that there's a very unique relationship between these two types of things happening. But I also want people to remain very realistic because articles like this are a very positive step in the right direction, but it's not a total game changer. I think for this to get picked up by another platform, we have to be logical here and say, 100,000 signatures isn't going to be enough. People need to be making a lot more noise about it. And I don't mean like screaming and being angry about it. I just mean that there needs to be more publicity. And it's not common for a show to come back after its cancellation. And so if it wants to keep going, it's going to need like a lot more, like a lot more. So if you are interested and you are excited about something like this, make sure you're taking part in it because it's going to need a lot of help. So the next thing that I want to touch on is Game Rant recently came out with an article that states that Save the Wheel of Time is trending and it's talking about the fan campaign again. So it's just more proof and more credence to, yeah, all of that. The other thing that I want to touch on, just, some Wheel of Time stuff, which I wasn't even sure if I was going to talk about this, but you know what? Why not? This is regarding Brandon Sanderson and something that he had talked about on his YouTube channel. And so I'm going to summarize his comment about the Wheel of Time being canceled. And he said that I wasn't really involved. I don't know anything more than what is public. They told me they were renegotiating and thought it would work out. Then I heard nothing for 2 months. Then learned this from the news like everyone else. I do think it's a shame as well. I had my problems with the show. It had a fan base who deserved better than a cancellation after the best season. I won't miss being largely ignored. They wanted my name on it for legitimacy, but not to involve me in any meaningful way. And if you're a part of the Wheel of Time community, Brandon Sanderson is very outspoken and very vocal, and he is he's okay with burning bridges. He doesn't care. He's got his massive fan base. He's got his books. He doesn't mind saying what he wants to say. And I think on one hand, it kind of sucks that he's still like feeling bitter about all of this. But I guess on the positive side of things, he's at least standing up for the fans and acknowledging that, like, hey, it's disappointing for them to have their show canceled, especially after the show's best season, which also, like good for him for admitting, hey, it was its best season. So he can show that there are improvements despite his past issues. But yeah, it's not too bad. I do think the negative aspect of this is that he is coming off as bitter and airing his opinions like this publicly does burn bridges. And I know that there's a lot of Sanderson fans out there who want to see his stories adapted, which I do think him being so outspoken can sometimes make collaborators hesitant to work with him. And I think, you could look at it two different ways here, but I do think that if I'm going to talk about like my experiences and with people that I've talked to, from the show and stuff like that. Every time I speak with someone who is part of the crew for the Wheel of Time, and this goes to other shows that I've watched where I've listened to podcasts about like behind the scenes stuff. If you want something to be adapted, you're putting together a team, and that team needs to run like clockwork. So when you're thinking about all of these people working together, it's a very big team aspect of things. And so if you have someone who's bad mouthing or quick to point the finger, it doesn't work as well as a cohesive unit. And I think Brandon Sanderson, bless him for being outspoken and saying what he wants to say, but also like the realism behind like if you want your stuff adapted, you have to be able to work as a team. And I don't know. We will see with what comes with that. But I just want to say I'm ambivalent. I'm sad that the show is canceled. I don't know what's going to happen, but keep an eye on this space for more information and more news. And I'll always be here to talk about anything that comes up. I hope everybody's having a good week. Like and subscribe, and I will see you back next time.